Hi there, welcome back to another week of Counter-Strike game and skin market update. This is Skinomics2, and this video covers the 22nd to 28th of September 2025. Starting with the Armory Pass, the Gallery Case, Graphic Collection, and the Character Craft stickers still have not been removed from the pass. Despite being time limited, the market is feeling fatigued with these items, and the ROI on unboxing is crawling downwards. One interesting phenomenon I have found is that the Fever case only costs slightly less than a Gallery case, which does show that the market is really not a huge fan of the Gallery collection. Moving on to the Austin Major stickers. The Challenger Team Sticker Capsule overtook the Contender Team Sticker Capsule this week, thanks to a rise in the price of both Falcon and Furia stickers. We are still about 2 months away from the removal of these stickers from the store. As for the Highlight Charms, ROI have come down slightly this week. There exists a large disparity between the Nuke and Mirage as well as the Dust 2 packages, so definitely do check in before making unboxing or purchasing decisions. Now onto the headlines of the week. The biggest of all is the anticipation for an update in celebration of the 2-year anniversary in the release of Counter-Strike 2. As a reminder, the first anniversary brought upon us the Armory Pass and the 7-day trade restrictions. The date this year fell on a weekend, so there is no news yet. However, I expect the upcoming update will rotate the Armory Pass and perhaps introduce cash. Knowing Valve though, anything is possible. Touching on the Genesis Terminal released last week, its price has dropped even further to only $3 from the high of over $40. Valve's new attempt at replacing traditional cases has not been accepted by the community for the most part. This week, there have been reports suggesting that Valve is working to up the number of offers from 5 to 10. I personally do not think that this will change things, as the core reason why people do not like this is the dynamic pricing system, whereby people have to pay up to the true resale value of the skin. Speaking of which, most theories suggest that this dynamic pricing system works by pricing skins slightly above its current Steam community market pricing, so that new unboxers do not crash the market. On the flip side, the Fracture case, which was removed from the active drop pool, has stabilized at a lower price point due to the sheer volume of supply available. Moving on, somehow some people have decided that it was a good idea to continue pouring money into a selection of Stockholm stickers. Again, as I have warned, this is unsustainable, so buy at your own risk. There are a couple of incredibly sad people this week somewhere in the world, as we have seen another 2 cases of Katowice 2014 items being sold on the Steam community market for much less than their worth. Now, let's take a look at a clip that went viral in the past few weeks. That was NoCries, a Mongolian player who had shot to the #1 ranking on FACEIT in the span of a few weeks. He has been accused of cheating by a significant portion of the community, and FACEIT decided as a result to invite him to play at their headquarters. 8 years ago, a player by the name of Robs had received the same treatment, and now he is a 2 times major winner. After a few games under supervision, FACEIT saw enough to let him into FPL. This may mark the start of another star player, although it is too early to say for sure. Let's see where NoCries will head next. As we are closing in on the October 6th deadline for the invitation to the next major, I have decided to shift the Pro Scene tournament section into the headlines. There were no changes in the Asian region this week, and no changes are anticipated before the deadline. The Americas saw one change. Skin Rave had been overtaken by the Sharks. If the current standing holds, then there would be no new stickers for this major. The most volatile region is Europe. Seoul was overtaken by Fnatic this week. Regardless, there will be no new stickers from the region. There are currently 3 concurrent tournaments expected to conclude prior to the 6th of October. Although the focus has been squarely on the ESL Pro League Season 22, as there were 2 last-minute team changes. Whilst the LimVision change will likely not affect much, the Virtus Pro change will. The desperation is apparent when looking at the team's Twitter, whereby visa issues was the cause for the absence from the ESL Pro League. Looking at the rankings, it shows why. B8 will overtake Virtus Pro due to point decay. Fnatic is playing in the Birch Cup, whilst Heroic is playing in the ESL Pro League. As a reminder, only the top 16 will make the major, Again, for those that care about new stickers, none will be released from the European region regardless of the outcome. Although this is a clear reason why the RMR system was necessary, as setting an arbitrary cutoff date increases randomness in my opinion, given teams sitting on the fringe fluctuates in ranking constantly. Finally, let's move on to our weekly craft idea. I found quite an interesting craft by using 2 Paris Furia Hollows and a Taste Buddy from the Character Craft stickers. By placing 2 Furia Hollows as shown, you can slot in a scraped down Taste Buddy which is a heart in the middle quite perfectly. The craft costs about $18 in total at current prices. Switching gears to market analysis. The Skinomics 2 index, which contains a list of items I use to represent the market, increased by 1.13% this week. This marks the 7th week of consecutive increases, although this week was marked by an outlier within the data, as we will come to see. The Esport Fire Index, which contains a list of 300 high-value liquid items, showcases a slight decline in the market from the all-time high achieved on the 21st of September. Moving on to buff value of trade and trade volume data sourced from the cheap instant skin trading site iTrade.gg. Market activity has experienced a slight drop-off in line with the Esport Fire Index. However, total value and volume data sourced from Steam DT continue to increase. This can be explained by a shift away from buff, but also more volume at the lower end of the market which the buff data does not capture. Now, let's break the skin market movements this week down into categories. Starting off with knives and gloves, this category experienced quite even and minute losses across the board. The same holds true for higher tiered weapon skins, where a slight drop has been recorded for most items. However, the Emperor bucked the trend with a 37% increase. Delving into this slightly deeper, we can see this is due to a pump, as barely any transactions have occurred at the new high price. Regardless, this is what had skewed the index this week. Agents did well with the exception of Rixor, although that had increased by more than 20% last week, so a correction is understandable. Last but not least, the affordable weapon segment saw some slight losses in line with the higher tiered weapons. Moving on, according to CS2 Case Tracker, case unboxing numbers trended lower in the week again. The website does not include the new Genesis terminals in these numbers, but also the player count slightly lowered over the past week. Case prices have been smashed this week. Non-active case prices declined overall, with the Spectrum 2 dropping by over 15%, which is quite significant. Active cases dropped as well, especially the Recoil and Revolution cases, as they rose meaningfully in shock from the removal of the Fracture case in the active drop pool last week. Let's now take a glimpse at this week's biggest winners and losers. In winners, 3 sticker pumps topped the list, 2 of which are from the Stockholm collections, as we have discussed during the headline section. In losers, the EG Hollow continued to drop, whilst the Slalom is from the Graphics collection, and the AK Black Laminate is from the old Vertigo collection. Onto the top trades of the week, also sourced from the skin trading site iTrade.gg. Buff's top trade came from the Blue Mag AK Case Harden with 4 Titan Hollows. It sold for just under $30,000 US. Second and third places were Emerald Butterflies. On CS Float, the top place was a Souvenir Dragon Lore with a Tarko signature. Second place was a Kato 14 Challenger capsule, and third place was a Wild Lotus in factory new condition. Moving into game news, there were 3 updates this week, although not too much was exciting for the average player. The update on the 25th added quite a bit for map creators, which I am not going to pretend I understand. Probably the most exciting thing was that Valve broke the orb skin textures again after the updates, just like what happened after the update in July. This time, however, it was patched out within a couple days. Now onto the pricing. As reported by Players.ua, Simple salary at BC Game amounts to $130,000 USD per month. Perhaps this explains the surprising decision for Simple to join a Tier 2 team. Inner Circle signed the TNL roster, whilst Liquid confirmed the signing of Elige in replacement of Twist. It is still unclear who Twist will replace at FaZe. I am still open to skin donations, and a reminder to join my Discord. Please like, share and subscribe. On that bombshell, that was all for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.